research is really exciting, and I'm hoping that everybody out there now understands a little bit better about, the link between hypertension and what kind of research we could possibly be doing in labs as scientists to figure out, what's going on. You understand, and why it's affecting so many people in the country, because it's affecting a lot of people in the country.
I forgot to tell you that it actually affects 1 in every 3rd person adult.
1 in every 3rd person.
Yeah, so
1, 2, 3. So the camera guys, getting it?
Didn't skip me.
And welcome to the Let's Talk Science podcast. My name is Tulile Kanyile and I'm going to be your host. This is our very first episode and our very first broadcast, and I'm very excited today. We're going to be talking hypertension with Anza Tiba. So welcome, Anza.
Thank you for having me.
You look pretty.
Girl, I was born like this.
How do you say pretty in Chivenda? Nonaka. So I must say, how do I say?
Anza nonaka we.
Anza nonaka we. Oh, I love it. I love it. Anza, thank you for joining us at Let's Talk Science podcast. And really, I just want to find out, what are you doing at WITS?
I'm a student. I'm a PhD student, so I'm doing my 3rd year. And yeah, man, if it's not for lab work, it's the writing, it's the presentations, it's just studenting.
Yeah. So also, but you do, you're doing research on a very important topic, and it's hypertension. And what we want to do today is really unpack what hypertension is, what kind of problem within hypertension you're solving, why the population should give a damn, why taxpayers' money are going into this money, this research that you're doing. So just maybe let's start with what hypertension is. What is it?
It's high blood pressure. So I've made this example before. It's like, at home when someone is fighting and like, blood pressure is going up, like take it down.
Yeah.
So that's like the most basic way you can explain high blood pressure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at a scientific level, really, what does it mean? When we say high blood pressure, are we talking about the movement of blood? Is there pressure against, I don't know what, the arteries or veins as the blood is moving? Is what's happening exactly?
It's the pressure against the arteries. So when your vessels thicken, you see with a hose pipe, ne?
Yeah.
If the hose pipe is thick, the pressure will be low.
Okay.
But if you have a thinner hose pipe, then the pressure is like up there.
Okay.
So that's what happens if you, for example, with obese people, then the fat squashes the arteries, so then they become thinner, and then the blood pressure will increase. So, and then we define it as a blood pressure that is above 120. It's 140 now. 140 over 90.
And what does those numbers represent? Because I know I go to the doctor all the time, and she's like, we're doing a checkup. She puts that thing, and then it squeezes, and then even though I'm a scientist as well, then she says 90 over, and I'm like, and she says within range, and I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. But really, what do those numbers mean for those of us who are not doing research in hypertension?
So we've got 2 numbers. The top number measures your systolic blood pressure, and the bottom number measures your diastolic blood pressure.
Okay.
So it just measures the rate of which your blood is flowing against the arteries. So it's like, when your heart beats, it will do the lab and the dab.
Okay.
So that's what it's measuring.
And when you say it will do the lab and the dab, so it's that doop doop.
Yes.
Doop, 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 doop. So that's the lub dub.
Yeah.
So the other one, the systolic is measuring the other one, and the diastolic is measuring the other one.
Yeah.
And the other one is related to the arteries themselves, and the other one is related to the movement of the blood.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So in your research, what about hypertension is bothering you?
I don't know if you know, but like, although like a lot of research has been done into hypertension, there is no known cause of hypertension. Like, there's no one who can be like, this caused hypertension.
So that you just said like people with diabetes. So people with diabetes, doesn't cause
no diabetes, obesity, smoking, drinking alcohol, a lot of salt, because that one is common. They don't cause hypertension.
Oh.
They somehow influence hypertension, because I eat a lot of salt, but I've got low blood pressure.
Yeah.
So it's not the case. Those are what we call risk factors. Something that is more likely to. It might not cause it, but it's more likely to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there's no theoretical explanation for why high blood pressure exists. Is there low blood pressure?
There's many. There's low blood pressure. There's the normal range. There's pre-high blood, and then there's hypertension, and then there's malignant.
So if a person has low blood pressure, what is it called then?
It is low blood pressure. You can just say low blood pressure.
Low blood pressure. So hypertension is only related to
excessively
excessive.
high. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't know what the cause is. So what are you doing to figure out what the cause is?
So my research was like so cool. We're working with animal models of hypertension. Okay. So I was working with rats, like a lot of them, and I really loved them. They were like my babies. So
I'm scared of rats.
They're so cute. Have you seen them?
Yes, I have. I'm still scared.
They're like white with the pink eyes.
Yeah, they're
and then
weird.
the long pink tail. And then the female ones are like fat, and then they're like cuddly. So you put them on your lab coat pocket, and then it runs up like this, and then you put it here, and then it's like
it runs up your isn't it like slimy and stuff?
But you have your lab coat on.
Yes, yeah. It sounds so uncomfortable already.
I actually looked forward to like seeing them every day, because we see them twice a day, like in the morning and in the afternoon. I'd be like, it's time, and I'm running down to the animal unit, because I'm like, yo, I need to play with Whoopi today, you know.
Did you give them names?
Yeah.
How many did you have?
44.
Yo, okay, what are you doing with them?
So with the animal models, we have a cohort of rats that are genetically modified to have high blood pressure, like excessively high blood pressure.
Like, so one of my good I say Alex.
Those ones are creepy.
These ones aren't creepy.
Not at all. They're like white and like thick and like fat and happy and chubby and like cuddly.
Okay, so you've got 44, and then you've got different cohorts, and then some of them are genetically modified.
Yeah, so there's one group that's genetically modified to have blood pressure, high blood pressure, I think 4 to 6 weeks after birth, and then there's a normal, which is the control, which is like represents the normal population.
Okay, but those are also like, are they bred, like, are they laboratory bred, all of them? Are they like lab rats, like in the literal sense of being a lab rat? Are they like grown specifically for research, or can a person keep them as like a house pet, or are they the kind of rabbits that we see roaming around? They're not.
They are not, unfortunately. I actually even tried to be like, can I place a 1 before termination? And they're like, no, you know. So the one group, which is the control, we couldn't get it in South Africa. I think we imported them from Germany. And it took so much time to get clearance from the
customs.
Not even so after customs, the South African Council of Agriculture needs to monitor what you're bringing in. And they thought we're making like biological weapons, and we had to beg them. We're not trying to do that. Like, we're just trying to do research.
At least with you guys, it's rats. I know, like, even if you're bringing in like just a piece of DNA, sometimes I think they can give you a hard time.
That's what happened when we were bringing in some bacteria. But it makes sense, because the bacteria we're working with is a pathogen.
Do you think those policies and frameworks are limiting to the speed at which we do research in the country?
They are limiting, because when you submit your proposal, you have a certain timeline. Like by the first 3 months, I should have groomed my rats. They should be used to me taking blood pressure and doing certain experiments. Then you get your rats. Your rats will be important like really quickly, but then they stay with
they get stuck here.
They get stuck here in SA.
That's
for months and months. I think we waited almost a year for them to come to our lab. Yeah.
And so these are rats that are all 44 coming from Germany, or just the ones that are...
I think they bring a male, female, and then they breed them here.
Oh,
they don't buy the whole batch. They just bring...
So who's breeding them for you guys?
The people at the vet animal unit.
Oh, the animal unit is doing that. Okay, so you get a male and a female for the ones that have high blood pressure and the ones that don't have high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And then the university animal unit sort of grows them to the number that you want.
Yes.
Okay, and then they're here, there's 44, they've made them mate and made them do all the things to make more. And then what are you doing?
So we, number one, measure blood pressure. So the first thing is to look at the baseline blood pressure. When you're starting your research, what is the blood pressure from both groups? And then what we do is we have one group. So we had three studies. We had 3 studies. The one we're feeding them with cholesterol.
Okay.
And we just wanted, because cholesterol is also associated with high blood pressure. So the one group we fed them with cholesterol. And then we monitored them for about 21 days and we collected fecal samples so we can test if that cholesterol was made into other compounds. So with the second group, then we fed them with antibiotics, the 2 groups of antibiotics. So one to get rid of that bacteria and one that actually gets rid of the competing species. Because like in your stomach, the reason why you're able to digest food is because of your bacteria.
Okay.
You know that, right?
Yeah, so the bacteria is digesting the food.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need the bacteria there.
Yeah.
But this helicopter bacterium that you're talking about is not one of the good ones, or is it one of the good bacterias?
That's the thing. It's a pathogen. It's very dangerous.
Okay.
Itself, because it's been linked to cancer. Okay. It's everywhere.
Okay.
With the wrong things.
Okay.
But in this case, we're loving it because it might give us an idea of what's happening to blood pressure regulation.
So what you're saying is if it's there, it's breaking down the cholesterol.
No, the compounds that will be produced from the cholesterol.
All right. So how many groups of rabbits do you have? You've got...
It's rats. You're the one who's working with rabbits.
I'm the one working with rabbits. Oh my word. And I'm so used to talking about rabbits, but that's a story for another day.
And your rabbits are so cute.
I'm scared of my rabbits.
I
So
know.
you've got these 44 rats.
Yeah.
And then you've got half of them that you are feeding
Cholesterol.
with cholesterol. And then you've got half of them
with antibiotics.
with the antibiotics. And these antibiotics are supposed to kill the bacterium.
Yeah.
And this is the bacterium that in a different study that your supervisor did, it was associated with cholesterol or the presence of high blood pressure.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I'm with you. And then the group with the cholesterol, you give them cholesterol, all of them. Let's say that all 22. Half of 44 is 22. All 22.
Yeah. So we give 20, not
Okay.
20. It'll be 18.
Okay.
The cholesterol, and then we have 4 controls.
And
you don't feed them at all, because you have to be able to compare the data. Yeah.
So Anza, in other words, you give these rats things, and then you take their feces and then you play with their feces.
I work with feces and it's like the most frustrating thing ever.
And then the feces from the initial challenge that you guys are facing of trying to figure out what causes cholesterol at a molecular level. You're saying what causes high blood pressure. At a lifestyle level, we understand that it may be high cholesterol, high salt, and everything else that you are counting or listing. But what you're saying now is at a molecular level, what are we looking for that's going to tell us that this person has high blood pressure? and you guys are now using the fecal matter
Yes.
to determine whether or not the other rabbits have got the cholesterol, or the other rabbits that have the antibiotics. Rats. Or the other rats have a depletion, as it were, because you feed them the antibiotic.
Yeah, so with both groups, we're going to look at the secondary compounds that will be made from the cholesterol. So we're hoping that the ones that have the Helicobacter pylori bacterium will have the compound, like the specific compound we're looking for, it's a steroid.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you feed them with cholesterol, and then I'm assuming that the cholesterol gets broken down in your stomach into these different compounds.
First in your liver, and then
in our livers, and then in our small and large
intestine.
Yeah. And then thereafter, what you're then trying to see is when the cholesterol is broken down, what compounds are there? And there's a specific one that you're looking for.
Yes.
Because that is associated with being the cause of high blood pressure.
Associated with blood pressure regulation.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And so we're studying the fecal matter in the rats. How does it relate back to me, the person that's watching? How does it relate to him and her?
So fecal material has a lot of bacteria, which is then the main part of my research. So you can't do real-time studies because it will be unethical for you to cut the rat and check what's happening in the stomach every day.
Okay.
So feces are closest to what you get or what the bacteria looks like in your stomach.
Okay.
So we use that, and number one, I have to identify all the different bacteria that are there in the healthy group and in the hypertensive group, and then compare it to now after feeding cholesterol, compare it to after feeding antibiotics, compare it to when you've gotten rid of Helicobacter pylori. So I have to study the changes and come up with what is exactly happening with blood pressure regulation at a molecular level.
And when we know what's happening at a molecular level in terms of what compounds are causing high blood pressure, we're then able to create treatments to perhaps mitigate the presence of those compounds or fight those compounds.
Yes, and then
is that what we're doing?
And then I win a Nobel Prize.
Okay, I think your research is really exciting, and I'm hoping that everybody out there now understands a little bit better about, the link between hypertension and what kind of research we could possibly be doing in labs as scientists to figure out, what's going on. You understand, and why it's affecting so many people in the country, because it's affecting a lot of people in the country.
I think I forgot to tell you that it actually affects 1 in every 3rd person, adult.
1 in every 3rd person.
Yeah, so
1, 2, 3. So the camera guys, getting it?
Because it skipped me.
Oh my word. All right, awesome. So what we're gonna do now, I think that's our Let's Talk Hypertension segment, and now we want to get to know more about who Anza is. So we're going to go into the next segments with Anza.